John Brown's body lies a moldering in the grave. John Brown's body lies a moldering in the grave. John Brown's body lies a moldering in the grave. His spirit marches on. Glory, glory, hallelujah.
Hi, my name's Tanner Shell. You're watching Shlama Show. Specifically, you're watching Stoned History. This is a show where we get high and talk about history. Today, I want to talk about my man, the myth, the legend, John Brown, and his little radical solution to a thing called slavery. But as always, I think I should justify by telling you what I'm smoking today. I have not smoked at all today, so this could be a fun one, right? I am smoking from the same dispensary as always, a little plant called marijuana, and within that plant, the strain is called gelato. Gelato is probably one of my favorite strains out there. It is so good. It smells peppery and hits very peppery. Like it's a fruity, peppery kind of taste, and the high is rather fleeting. But it is what it is. So I'm gonna load this into my bong, and then we should talk about John Brown, because his message has never been more relevant in these troubling times. As always, if you want to smoke along with me, you can do that, although personally, I do not condone or endorse any drug consumption. And as always, God bless you, and let's sip before we rip, because we don't want to have a bad cough. Water is good for you, folks. You heard it from me. And you probably heard it from your mother, too. Where the hell my lighter go? Very peppery. So John Brown. John Brown's one of those heroes of the Civil War, right? The song I was singing was the Grand Army of the Republic hymn, but to the tune that John Brown and his gang used. John Brown was an abolitionist. So during the Civil War, there were these awesome people who did not like slavery. They were called abolitionists. They wanted to abolish slavery. One of them, Harriet Tubman, which we all know. Another one, which does not get talked about enough, is John Brown. John Brown, as you'll see in the thumbnail, was this crazy-looking dude who had a beard and was 7 feet tall. And he didn't have a lot as a child, but you know what he did know how to use? He knew how to fire a gun like no man could before him. So John Brown, who hated slavery, hated the idea of indentured servitude even, wanted to help as much as he can. So John Brown started going and freeing slaves. These slaves basically told John Brown of the horrors of what was happening. John Brown was so compelled, so appalled by what he had heard, that he pretty much made it his mission to pretty much kill every slave owner and free as many slaves as he could. So him and a bunch of slaves that he had freed basically started a militia. He started arming slaves. Slaves started arming themselves, and they basically started traveling around the country, just freeing as many people as possible. Trying to, at least. This, of course, resulted in many conflicts with slave owners and Confederate soldiers even. And John Brown kind of became sort of an urban legend, like, you best watch after them Negroes or John Brown's gonna get you. That kind of shit. Like, John Brown was a force to be reckoned with. Well, eventually, John Brown's word spreads. Even Lincoln is a supporter of John Brown. John Brown's so popular that John Brown doesn't even know how to handle the fame. Except he's not really handling the fame, because fame's not really a thing that is around these days. Because he's too busy trying to free slaves. So John Brown starts, he gets tired of it. He basically, John Brown had some other policies too. He was tired of capitalism because he thought that the whole reason these slaves existed was because of capitalism. And well, he's not actually too far off. So his personal ideology was abolish slavery of all kind, whether it just be black or wage slavery even, which was becoming a new popular thing. So John Brown gets into a conflict. He gets caught by rebel soldiers. Abe Lincoln tries to basically make sure he doesn't get executed, but unfortunately, as the legend of John Brown goes, that doesn't work. And unfortunately, John Brown is executed, sentenced to hanging, but does not end there. The Giga Chad that John Brown is, he demands that he be executed by sword. Beheaded. And they're like, yeah, sure. And that is how John Brown went out. And as we all know, as the song goes, John Brown's body lies a moldering in the grave, and his spirit marches on. No, I'm kidding. John Brown's one of my favorite stories during the Civil War, because it's just the raw determination that someone was willing to go to free his fellow man. It's inspiring. And in these troubling times, John Brown's legacy lives on in another way. There is a group called the John Brown Gun Club. Essentially, it's gays with guns. Because, well, if right-wingers are going to do things, well, then we best look after ourselves. And that was ultimately the message of John Brown. He would go around the plantation and was like, hey, if these guys are going to do this to you, you must protect yourself. His spirit marches on, truthfully. My name is Tanner Show. This is Slava Show. And I am out of here. Y'all have a good one, and God bless.